Dominica in the spotlight as the country showcases its history and culture in Mass Dominique 2019. Government allocates increased budget towards Carnival celebrations this year. And the Carnival Tuesday's costume band parade promises to be one with a difference with 7 registered bands. I am Andrea Lee with the Channel 5 News, back with the details after this.
Imagine you have Hollywood at your command. Introducing Flow Evil.
Red cheese, gold rings, all black, everything creeping through the night.
Anywhere you are.
Big girls don't scream hard like Halloween, make me feel alive.
There's a world of entertainment here, and you run the show. Flow Evil.
Thank you for staying with us. We begin with the Carnival route, which has remained the same for Mass Dominique 2019. During a press conference on Friday, the police informed the public that the parade will start on the corner of Independence Street and Kennedy Avenue, head south along Independence Street to the intersection with King George V Street, then west along King George V Street to the Roseau Bayfront. The parade will proceed north along the Roseau Bayfront to Kennedy Avenue, then east along Kennedy Avenue. The police have also cautioned the public to refrain from mischief during the Carnival celebrations. CCTV cameras have been installed along the route and at strategic points in the city, including bus stops. There will also be heavy foot patrol during the festivities. The public has also been asked to adhere to the traffic signs and other directional signs which will be put in place for Carnival Monday and Tuesday. Carnival hours are 4 a.m. to 10 p.m. on Monday and 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. on Tuesday. In other Carnival developments, a record 7 costume bands have registered for Tuesday's Carnival Parade.
That's according to Deputy Chairperson of the Road Parade Committee, Charlene White-Christian. Christian says the costume bands will be sectioned off into 2 categories due to the types of costumes.
But this year, for the first time, I saw we have 7 costume bands. So that in itself is something grand. And the costume bands have been categorized into 2 different categories this year. So we have the more traditional ones, those with the themes like the pharaohs and and then we have the feather bands, I like to call them, the feather costumes. So this year, basically, that is one of the differences that I'm looking forward to. It's going to be more spectacular, I think, because we have all these feather bands combined together. They're being judged separately from the others. And the schools, and this year also, as part of the children's parade, for the very first time, we're going to have a balloon band. So that on Monday, I think, is also going to be rather interesting. And it's a new addition. It's the first time we're going to see that.
White-Christian says the judging of the bands will take place on the Roseau Bayfront and the groups are encouraged to get creative with their displays.
But we have placed a stage on the Bayfront. And on that stage, we will be asking our groups to come to display your costumes where your photos will be taken so that they can be posted and that they can be shared. And we could use those same photos for judging of the best groups. Now, all the judges will be placed in one spot on the Bayfront. When groups get to the Bayfront, we are asking them to display whatever it is that you would like to display. If you have a little choreography that you would like to display, there will be a stage on the Bayfront, and we are telling groups that they can actually go onto the stage, go up, and go down the other end. So that's something new that we are also trying this year. So the groups can go up and go down, or some persons can go up onto the stage and some can remain down.
Meantime, Acting Festival and Events Manager at the DFC, Marva Williams, says despite the categorization of the bands, there will only be 1 Adult Band of the Year award.
Well, to the costume bands being split into, we did that based on demands from the participant, and that's the costume band. But just to say, this year we are going to have 1 adult band of the year. So it's not going to be 2 adult bands of the year, 1 adult band of the year. And there will be a best contemporary and a 2nd place, a best traditional and a 2nd place, but 1 adult band of the year for Carnival.
The judging of bands will take place from 11 a.m. on both days, Carnival Monday and Tuesday.
Over $700,000 have been injected into Mass Dominique 2019 celebrations. The revelation was made by acting festival and events manager of the Dominica Festivals Committee, Marvel Williams. Williams says government's contribution to Dominica's Carnival has grown over the years, and while the DFC would appreciate more money for Carnival celebrations, she is confident that the country will witness a spectacular Mas Dominique 2019.
Well, I must say we have to extend thanks to the current government of Dominica as it relates to the Carnival budget. I've been with DFC for about 13 years, I believe, and I think once upon a time the Carnival budget was probably $300,000, I believe, and right now the budget is near $1 million. And I mean, I can say that we would love to receive more money for Carnival. Of course, our request for more money would have to be justified, but I think it is needed. But I think that the government did recognize the need to, at least in a first instance, increase the budget for Carnival, and we're hoping that, you know, further consideration can be given to that in the near future. I think it's $720,000.
Mas Dominique 2019 officially got underway on 19th January with an opening parade in Roseau and will end on Wednesday 6th March with Tiwe Vavao. Moving to the Calypso Arena, it's all systems go for an impressive grand finals this weekend. Public Relations Officer of the Dominica Calypso Association, Derek De Hunter St. Rose, says everything is in place for Saturday's finals.
We're going to have 2 rounds, of course, but you know, let me just spice it up. The first round is normally the round where you sit down and you relax and you take in real lyrical calypso. Second round is the La Gemoin section. Yes, trust me, we're going to have a very good time. And I can tell you, the rehearsals have been going very well. And the Calypsonians are very serious about what they do because everybody wants to win.
The appearing order of the Calypsonians is Danian at number 1, Sai at number 2, Dice at number 3, Checo at number 4, Hunter at number 5, Observer at number 6, Bob at number 7, Tasha P at number 8, D Healer at number 9, and Webb at number 10. The Calypso finals will start at 8:30 p.m. on Saturday 2nd March at the Windsor Park Stadium forecourt, which is Carnival City. You are watching the Channel 5 News. Stay tuned for more after the break.
Imagine you have Hollywood at your command. Introducing Flow Evil.
Red cheese, gold rings, all black, everything creeping through the night.
Anywhere you are,
Big girls don't scream hard like Halloween, make me feel alive.
there's a world of entertainment here, and you run the show. Flow Evil.
Welcome back. CARICOM Chairman Dr. Timothy Harris has commended St. Lucia's Prime Minister Alan Chastanet for his leading role in negotiations on the regional body's behalf. Prime Minister Chastanet led a delegation to the European Union and its agencies last week, where he forcefully made CARICOM's case against their being labeled non-cooperative tax jurisdictions, essentially blacklisting them. A lot of this attack on CARICOM countries is done through the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, OECD.
That practice is being followed by individual member states of the EU. The continuous addition of onerous requirements to comply with new regulations is tantamount to cruel and unusual punishment. The EU and its member states are going well beyond the regulations and requirements of the OECD, of which they are a part and with which our countries are largely compliant. Further, the selective application of their strictures does not apply to everyone and has a distinct bias. These unbridled attacks on our sovereignty and disturbing intrusion in our internal affairs hark back to a different era of us having to heed the dictates of our colonial masters who imposed mercantile laws that restricted our development scope and space.
Dr. Harris says the European Union continues to punish the region long after its preferential treatment has gone.
The question that must be asked is this: why are the revenue earning measures of small states within the Caribbean community and elsewhere being deliberately targeted? The EU preferences for sugar and bananas have long gone. Our financial services are under consistent threat. The denial of correspondent banking services affects our tourism sector and indeed our capability to engage in international transactions, such as when credit card transactions are delayed, and also affects remittances, a significant financial element in many of our small economies. Our citizenship by investment program is being attacked. Ship flagging is being questioned. In some, stumbling blocks are being put in our development pathways. How are we then to finance and achieve the development which our people deserve?
Dr. Harris says these matters are compounded by the increasing effects of climate change, which add to an already heavy debt burden to meet the cost of the impact of disasters on these islands. The issue of Dominica's economic performance is likely to become a major issue on the political platform as the country heads into the 2020 general elections.
The opposition United Workers' Party has more than hinted at this at its last news conference. Deputy political leader Joshua Francis shared the party's stance on the issue of the country's economic growth against the background of an ECLAC report that Dominica could see a 9% expansion in its economy in 2019.
This is the slowest growing economy in the Eastern Caribbean. Over the past 19 years, Dominica has experienced less than 1% economic growth. The Eastern Caribbean targets at least 5% economic growth for each member state. Dominica has underperformed. Think about it, 5% versus 1%. That's a significant difference. It's also a fact that we have had the lowest foreign direct investment in the Eastern Caribbean. And that situation has been exacerbated by the departure of Ross University. We have had the lowest minimum wage, $4.05, compared to St. Kitts, $9 an hour, subject to increase. So possibly by the end of the year, St. Kitts will have a minimum wage of at least $10 an hour. We have had one of the highest underemployment rate. With such a low minimum wage, obviously, across the board in Dominica, wages and salaries are pretty low. We have an extremely high unemployment rate. We could say that we have the third highest unemployment rate in the Eastern Caribbean. After Hurricane Maria, it is probably the highest unemployment in the Eastern Caribbean. Over the past 2 years, Dominica's economic growth is in the negative. A matter of fact, 2018 to 2019, Dominica's economic growth has experienced 14% in the negative. So it means that the 9% spoken of is moving from the negative. It is not building on something positive. It is basically recovery, and that's obvious. We just experienced a serious hurricane, and all countries which experience a disaster go through a recovery process. So the growth which we will experience in 2019 to 2020 really has to do with the reconstruction infrastructural process in Dominica.
Dominica sustained a $1.3 billion in damage from Hurricane Maria. 226% of the country's GDP was lost. IMF Deputy Managing Director Tao Zhang wrapped up a visit to Dominica in February, saying several projects in the tourism sector would generate income and jobs due to the CBI program. Deputy Zhang noted that Dominica's output was expected to decline by 14% and it is expected to take another 5 years to bounce back to pre-hurricane levels. But he added that with significant government investments, the economy is recovering faster than expected.
And the Caribbean countries could expect to feel added pressure from the European Union to join the rest of the world in ending the death penalty. Generally, while Caribbean countries do not use the death penalty, they have pretty much not given the EU what it wants in terms of supporting efforts to ban it. The Gleaner is reporting that only Jamaica, St. Lucia, Dominica, the Bahamas, and Belize responded to an invitation to attend the 7th World Congress on the death penalty to say they could not attend. 10 countries did not acknowledge the invitation. Here is Vice President of the European Parliament in an exchange with the Jamaica Gleaner reporter Damien Mitchell on the issue.
And obviously this is high on the agenda of the multilateral efforts, but also bilateral efforts. What we try to do is utilize the bilateral relations that we have with a country concerned to address issues of not just death penalty, but human rights as such. We have no means to impose any legal change on any country in the world. So I think that it is primarily for the governments of these countries to understand that the right to life is the absolutely basic life right.
You said that there has been bilateral and multilateral discussions and you're seeking to step up the pressure, but clearly it has not been working because you have not yet the outcome that you would like.
Clearly,
the question is, what more can we expect in that effort?
Well, clearly it has been working. I mean, if you have looked at the abolition map, which was shown...
No, speaking specifically to the Caribbean.
It is working, it has been working, and the map is changing. It is basic changing on annual basis. And of course, I mean, there are countries which, unfortunately, are resistant to that. Well, what can we do? We can step up the pressure. We can step up, of course, the efforts. You know, I can't speak on behalf of the European Union as such, but I can say that whenever I have the opportunity as one of the two vice presidents for human rights, and whenever I had the opportunity in the past in different bilateral talks, I would be very, very, let's say, if I may use the word, push in this respect. But again, even I can't come to Jamaica or elsewhere and say, this is what you're going to do. What we can do is, and we do that, we sometimes do go as far as adjusting our policies if we see that there is total immunity or, let's say, complete absence of ability to look into the issue and to tackle it. I mean, at least a progress, at least a moratorium. If there is none of that, and if human rights are being abused, we do take measures, and we do reflect that in our policies.
The EU seems concerned that regional countries have not carried out the death penalty for at least a decade, yet they did not support the last resolution at the United Nations General Assembly for a universal suspension on executions. None of the 28 member states of the European Union support the death penalty. The United States carried out 25 executions last year.
Here are some tips to reduce mosquito presence in and around your home. Keep water storage containers properly covered. Remove containers that can collect water from your surroundings. Keep garbage bins tightly covered. Pick up your litter and remove all tires from your yard. Keep gutters free of leaves and twigs to prevent stagnant water. Prevent Zika, dengue, and chikungunya. Fight the bite. This is a public service announcement from the Dominica Red Cross.
This message is supported by Flow.
Imagine you have Hollywood at your command. Introducing Flow Evo.
Ripped jeans, gold rings, all black, everything creeping through the night.
Anywhere you are.
Big girls don't scream hard like Halloween, make me feel alive.
There's a world of entertainment here, and you run the show. Flow Evo.
To end the news, the headlines again. Dominica in the spotlight as the country showcases its history and culture in Mass Dominique 2019. Government allocates increased budget towards Carnival celebrations this year. And Carnival Tuesday's costume band parade promises to be one with a difference with 7 bands registered. Feel free to contact us at news@marpin2k4.com. You can also access or past the newscast on our YouTube channel. On behalf of the entire production team, I am Andrea Louis, and to all of our viewers around the world, thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful weekend.